Hello and welcome to Rhythm and Pixels Chat, episode 38-4. You're right there, buddy.
Yeah, I'm good. Just a little burpy.
We are your hosts. My name is Rob Nichols.
And I am not going to burp into the microphone.
That's great. You can cough, you can sneeze, you can fart, but never burp.
No.
Never eat.
No, wait a minute. No. I think it would make more reasonable sense to allow a burp before a fart into a microphone.
Yeah, you're probably right. There's a lot. The logistics of that are way different.
Yes, they are. If I'm going to go that far, I'm just a terrible person. So, no.
What Pernell doesn't know is we have a microphone under his chair.
Wait a minute.
And I just fed you essentially spaghetti bolognese.
Which is fine by me. It was delicious eggs.
Yeah,
so.
It's a turkey and quinoa.
I was down for that.
Which made it look like a meaty sauce, but it was just a little turkey and a whole lot of quinoa.
Okay, it gets the job done. I mean, if as long as the flavor permeates, I try to get that people to understand that when it comes to things like tofu.
Yeah.
I don't know why it feels like I'm always preaching to like preaching to a brick wall, and I say, I don't mind if people don't like tofu. We like what we like, but I just don't want you to have the wrong impression of what you do with it. Like, I made a barbecue steak block of tofu before just to goof around and see how it would play out. And people were like, that doesn't sound like it'd be very good. I'd rather just have a steak. I'm like, well, no crap. I'd rather have a steak too. The point is, I don't have a steak. I have a block of tofu. And I want a barbecue steak tofu.
Steak is expensive. Tofu is less expensive.
That is correct.
Yes.
And the thing is, like, it came out pretty awesome. Like, it's a extra thick, extra firm tofu, so you get that coat or that thickness. Then you cook it over. You baste it in like a decent barbecue sauce. I had Korean barbecue sauce. Toss it a couple times inside of an air fryer to let it get really hot. Comes out. You slice it like a steak, and you eat it. And it worked. Like, the flavor permeated throughout the tofu block. It was fantastic. And I'm like, tofu is all about what you put on it and cook with it.
Honestly, everything is like that for me. But I like meat enough, but I've only since we've had Ollie, I've been eating meat more just to try to introduce foods to him. Mm-hmm. We don't eat a lot of it at all, and so he doesn't at all. And I'm like trying to hey, we need some protein in this toddler.
Got some beans.
So yeah, so it's a lot of dairy, which I can't do either. So it's tough. It's tough way to go.
I can't.
I forgot where I was going with this, but anyway, yeah, it's meat is very much a luxury, and you shouldn't have a luxury all the time.
Yeah, I have one friend. Their entire diet is like steak.
Yeah,
I was like, hey, what do you want to grab dinner at? Steakhouse.
And that'll kill you too. That'll put you right. Yeah, that's not good for you.
But the world will tell you it's all about that protein. I'm like, nah, I need a little bit of a mixture. And with that said, my favorite protein is pretty much chicken anyway.
Yeah, it's pretty lean.
Yeah, I'm a lean eater.
Yeah,
a lean meat eater anyway. Rarely eat red meat, so I don't know. So I don't even get all jazzed up for the steaks. I've had maybe 1 out of 7 steaks in years where I was like, this is what it should be like if I'm going to spend all this money on a little tiny cube of steak.
Yeah, I was never into steaks. I don't know why. I never got the taste for it. Or hamburgers either. So,
well, hamburgers I used to like, but then I realized that I prefer chicken. So as I go to a restaurant, what do you want? Chicken sandwich. I don't want unless it's a cheesesteak. I prefer to get a cheesesteak over a chicken cheesesteak. I don't know why. It just is. Unless it's buffalo. In which case, yeah, buddy. But yeah, I need my beef on my steak. Not chicken, not turkey steak.
Wait, so you came to the podcast hungry.
I'm very hungry. Yeah. I don't mind. My diet's all over the place now. Like I am struggling with this mental concept of I am too fat. And I'm not arguing to say whether I am or I'm not. I'm just saying my brain tells me I am too fat. So I'm like, get back and exercise. Don't eat too much. Eat too much. And then I have my moments where I'm like, I eat like a rabbit. And then I have days where it's like, I get home from work and it's like, I want to eat, I don't know, a large bowl of ramen noodles with ramen topping. And I don't know, random stuff.
It's so hard at our age to regulate that stuff. Not just regulate what you're doing, but your body needs way more consistency and has higher protein needs, and it's harder to lose weight. It's just your metabolism has changed drastically at 42 or something.
And lately I'm trying to consume more protein. I'm trying to get 200 grams.
That's a lot.
And it's hard to do, almost impossible for someone who eats like I do. Mm-hmm. I started buying overnight oats, which for the record, I don't get it. Like, I'm eating them because they serve a purpose, but
you buy them?
There's like a program that's like a company that sells it.
Okay.
So you buy a subscription service nonsense. I'm probably going to cancel it because it's too much freaking money for oatmeal. But you do the thing where you put it into a shaker bottle, 10 ounces of milk. People are like, I don't listen to this show for listening to talk about overnight oats, but bear with me. You pour in like 10 ounces of almond milk, slap in a packet of oatmeal, shake it up in a blender bottle, put it in the fridge overnight, and you're supposed to just take it out and drink it. But I feel like I'm just drinking slop. Every
it's
morning.
sloppy.
This is grody.
Me and Christy were talking about that. We were because we love oatmeal, but the whole we were like, wait, the amount of effort it takes to make overnight oats and then just making oatmeal in the morning is about the same. So we're just gonna make oatmeal in the morning.
If I could just eat this oatmeal like oatmeal, as in to say, I wake up in the morning, pour the bag into a bowl, microwave it, I'd be perfectly happy with it.
So this is what you do. You make oatmeal normally, right?
But I need the protein.
I'm getting there. You make the oatmeal normally.
The protein.
You add extra milk.
That's protein.
That's not protein. You add protein powder to the oatmeal. There's no rule that says you can't add additional stuff to your oatmeal. And then you buy. It's called PB Max.
Are you talking about that powder, peanut butter powder?
It is. It's essential. If you're not allergic, it's awesome because essentially what it is all the protein and fiber and everything in peanuts.
We are not sponsored by any of this stuff we're saying.
Without the fat, all the oil is gone.
Oh,
because it's all dried and crushed, so there's no oil in it.
That might be worth doing. Then.
So when I make protein shakes, I use the protein powder, the vegan protein powder, and then I add PB Max to it. It's like peanuts and you really gotta shake the crap out of it, though.
I'm gonna try. I can try that.
It's pretty good. So
I mean, I have like 22 packs of oatmeal left, so it's going to be a minute. But
yeah. Or you can do the same thing. Add to it, because this way you don't have to go out and buy extra meals. You can just kind of keep adding to what you're already doing.
That sounds.
It's all about incremental gains. I started doing this the first year we had Ollie because I was like, I'm not eating like I used to eat, and my body is starting to change, and it has changed dramatically. And I mean, I don't feel bad about myself. I'm just like, this is not where I used to be, and I feel differently. So I was just trying things, and I'm like, oh, this is fine. This works. It just tastes weird. It just tastes a little different. And you can get different flavors too, and you can mix and match.
And you know the annoying thing too about this whole shtiff? So like I'm trying to get better eating, so more protein, yada, yada, yada. I'm trying to like get all this social stuff going on, more chatter, yada, 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 and going out to events. But I still love my games. Yes. So now and not only that, there's 4 in February taking place right now.
I know.
And I'm trying to take it all in at once.
It's a lot of time. It's a lot of time. I totally get it. My free time is constrained to very limited hours of the day. And even during those hours, I would prefer to be unconscious.
But you're somehow still playing Hollow Knight.
I am. Well, because I'm not playing for hours at a time. I'm playing for like maybe an hour or two.
I'll be honest with you.
Every other night. And I'm about 14 hours in.
See, that amazes me.
So that means I've played about 7 days.
Yeah, because you mentioned in the group, the Discord group, you're like, oh, I'm starting Hollow Knight. And I'm not sure if I commented or not, but I was like, you chose quite the game.
Well, I started. Okay, here, now we're into the game portion of the talk. Which is funny because what happened was a reality show that I liked just came back on, and now I'm not playing. But I'll get back to it. I played a few days ago. I didn't realize how big the game was. Yeah. I turned it on, and I'm like, oh, people like this, and it's supposed to be like really deep, like lots of hidden stuff. And I'm like, all right, I'll just play around. And immediately I'm like, I'm discovering new areas, and I got like a new ability, and I'm doing this, and I'm like, oh, it feels so good. It's cozy. I'm playing a Metroidvania. And it just feels nice to enjoy a game because I have not enjoyed video games for months.
Really?
Was
it because of time or just nothing resonated?
Nothing hit me. Like in time too. I'm not about to start up like a really heavy commitment of a game where I have to sit down there and spend hours just to learn and then play.
Yeah.
Like a fighting game. Mm-hmm. I can't do that now. And so I would sit down and I would play Hades, not make any progress, and be like, well, I didn't do anything. I would guess that was all right. Or I'd try to pick up and play some other stuff, and I just wasn't into it. And I was like, am I not enjoying games anymore?
It's a scary feeling.
It's weird. Like I thought, like maybe I'll just be done. But I really wanted to find something, and so I was like, well, people loved Hollow Knight. I'll check it out. And I didn't realize how big it is. I'm realizing how big.
It's a massive game.
It's massive, and I'm really happy for that because you know me. I don't play multiple games. I play one game,
And you become really into that.
I get really into it. Although I'm discovering that there may be a skill cap for me on this game because of...
Really?
Well,
I guess I can see that because there's no leveling up. You can get like life containers or whatever.
There's some life containers. You can level up your sword I think maybe a couple times, but it's really just all about skill. Mm-hmm. So Roshni, my niece, is super into it. She was like,
really?
I told her I was playing it. She's like, oh my god, I love that game. I just did 120% on it.
Oh mercy!
And I defeated the Pantheon. And I was like, but
there's a Pantheon.
There's like it's like a boss. I'm
just joking.
It's a boss parade, But I was like, oh, that makes sense because she loves games that are entirely skill-based only. Mm-hmm. Like if it is...
Like removing luck, essentially.
If it's like an art, if there's luck or if it's just math, like she's just like, I'll just do the math and it's over. But with games, that's my perception of what's going on. She probably has more to it than that. But what I'm picturing is that's because she's got the math brain.
Yeah, very intelligent.
Oh, super all math. But she loves Celeste. Like Celeste was like the greatest game in the world. And so this is like that too.
Did you guys bond over that then?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But of course it was like I had beaten it and put it down, and then like years and years later she was like, oh, have you played Celeste? I was like, yeah, I don't remember much. It was good.
That's why she didn't like beat your chest. I was like, well, actually I'm ahead of the curve on you.
But
yeah, I had.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I did some of the B-sides, but then I was like, this is too hard. She's like, oh, I did all the C-sides. I'm like, oh, what the hell?
Oh, mercy.
So that's the thing. So because it's all skill-based, like you really have to learn the bosses and the patterns, and then you have to get better at them, which is fine. The difference between Celeste and Hollow Knight is that in Celeste, you're not punished for dying as much.
I think Hollow Knight makes you do the thing where it drops half your money or something. You have to go get it.
And that's fine. Did my screen just go dark? Yeah, it's fine. And so... I forgot that it does. I have to turn that off. You drop half, but money is so easy to get in that game because
I don't want to lose it
because you have to travel so far most of the time to get the places. You'll find your money again, or even to get it back is pretty easy.
But that's the punishment that happens to travel back to bosses.
No, the punishment is the punishment is traveling back to bosses because you have really specific places where you can save.
Yeah,
and they're always way too far away from the bosses.
Did you find the boss yet? Because this is the one that gave me that kind of trouble. It was it may have been a hidden boss, but I went into a hidden room.
Yeah,
and it was this cocoon hanging from the ceiling, and it just puked bugs. And like, you would just hear this noise. They were like ravenous bugs that just encroached upon you.
I don't think I've done that one yet. No.
Look forward to that hellscape.
So like I'll just be playing and all of a sudden like I'll come across like a challenge and I'm like, oh, okay, there's something here. Oh, it's a boss. I haven't seen it before.
Time to die.
And I'm dead. And now I'm like, how far back did I save? Because you can't save any closer. Then so to get better at it, I feel like the game is now punishing me for having to get back further.
Like
even some of the rooms. Some of the rooms are like Celeste level platforming where you have to like bounce off of walls and do this and do that. And I'm like, okay, that would be fine if it doesn't take 5 minutes every try to get back to this section.
And games that I respect and appreciate games when they make them difficult, but they make the retry quick.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to keep at it for a while, but I feel like a lot of the hidden stuff I'm just not going to do. And you need to talk into the mic, not on the mic.
I'm eating the mic.
And then I'm going to keep doing this. I've had people on the Discord be like, I like it when you tell Pernell to talk into the mic. It's like a weird thing. It's a ASMR. Pernell talking to the mic. So anyway, I feel like I really like it so far. I really, really enjoy it. I think I'm going to get pretty far, but because of that, I feel like the game doesn't respect my time enough.
You gotta try Balatro, man. That'll be your gimmick.
I know. I saw it on iOS, and like that's probably the only way I'm going to play it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm afraid to get started. But anyway, so I'm going to get far, but I think I'm going to get skill capped at some point because I'm going to get to a boss, not be able to do it, and then I'm not going to want to pick it up because I only have an hour. And if I spend an entire hour trying to fight a boss, and then I have to go to bed.
Now, with that said, I will say,
I don't know if I could do that.
There was that discussion we all had years ago with Ed and yourself and me.
Yes.
And you guys were like talking about how like you just like the relaxation games where you just kind of sit down and not have the ordeal of learning. And for years, I was like, no, I want the beat down. I want the challenge.
Yes.
And while that is largely still true, I came to learn to understand better the issue, not so much with I don't want a challenge, so much as I don't want the challenge to be my entire amount of limited time I've got.
Yes. And I get that. And if it's going to be a challenge, it needs to be balanced with like retry or balanced with other mechanics where I can kind of get right back into it. And I think that's why I liked shoot 'em ups and bullet hell games so much, because they're essentially they're like the last video games for style that's rooted specifically in the arcade. Mm-hmm. You pick up like a new bullet hell game today, it probably still has like continues and like an opening screen where you would put in credits, and there's like only 4 stages and like there's 5 bosses.
I wish you had many shoot adventures, but you don't have a Steam account. That is a game you would like. I do think you like it.
Mini shoot?
Yeah, it was one of my top games last year. Mini shoot adventures. Someone took the idea of combining Zelda with bullet hell shooters.
That sounds awesome.
And it's really, really good. You get the exploration of Zelda, discovering new powers and getting all your heart containers and whatnot, but then you'll come across a room where a bunch of enemy ships are flying around you, spraying bullet patterns at you, and you're weaving and dodging, and it feels exhilarating. It's a good game. And it was one of the few games I can think of where I didn't just like it, but I couldn't put it down until it was done. And that, especially as I get older, that's so much harder for me to do. Like, I loved Balatro. I only beat Balatro for the first time, believe it or not, last night.
Oh, there's an ending to it?
Well, there's an ending in the sense that there's 8 antes, which is 8 sets of 3 levels. And when you beat the last level in the set, it says you completed the run. And that's considered being it. Then you unlock endless mode.
I see.
So
I assumed the game was just endless. It was just endless. Like you just play.
Yeah, once you get that ante 8 and it says you air quote beat the game, you do pretty much get endless mode. But yeah, you do technically consider yourself as beating the game.
I see.
And the final challenge, I think you had to get like it's either 100,000 or 1,000,000 chips. I think it was 100,000 chips in one game.
Okay.
So, but it's so good, and it hits all the notes of like just that satisfaction of, okay, I'm getting more bits. I got this combo that's going to give me this really good score.
Yeah.
And I realized it almost unlocked a desire for a type of game for me now. Like now I play Balatro. There's a game I call Poker Quest where it's a roguelike, but your characters are like archetypes of RPGs, but all of your attacks are triggered by poker hand types.
Nice.
Like pairs and different like symbols and all. And then there's another game I have called like Dungeons and like Dice Dungeon. There's a Dice Dungeon or something like that.
Dicey Dungeons?
No, that was a good game though, but not that one. It's like, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but it's essentially a game where you flip in the deck of cards and the deck represents the monsters in the dungeon and your character rolls dice.
Yes.
And then the dice can get slotted to your abilities to trigger the effects, and you're trying to kill the monster with dice, but also trigger your effects with those dice.
This may be, MagFest 2018, I think.
Dice and Fold, it was called.
I think it was 2018. I spent a lot of time in the indie game
I love that area.
And there was a guy, he had like a game that it played exactly like that. It was exactly like that, where it was like you rolled these virtual dice and you slotted them to your cards and you attacked the monsters. And but it was like really bare bones, and it was just like 3 or 4 encounters because he was just kind of showing off like a game mechanic he figured out. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, that's really great. It sounds exact. I wonder if it's the same game.
It might be. Do you also kind of remember using the dice to get money? Like on the right side, there's 1 through 6.
Yes.
And you have to slot a die into one of each of those slots to get 1 coin.
It sounds familiar, but that might have been like a later mechanic maybe he put together.
But it's
cool. You know what this is? It's like board game mechanics. Video gamified.
Yes, and it's addictive.
So that it moves a little bit faster. You can have more tracking, and you can play it anywhere. Well, we went to Brewworks not last night, the night before, right?
It was 2 nights ago.
You met us there, yeah. When we got there, there was some networking business event, bunch of people in like nice clothes, and I'm there all schlubby with my kid and covered in pizza, and but there was a guy who came in. Sat down at the table behind us.
Somebody was playing chess?
No. Oh, there was like 20 people playing chess, but behind us was one guy on his own. I thought he was waiting for somebody, but no. He was just eating, having a beer, and playing Balatro on a Steam Deck.
My man. See, I wish I knew that because I've done exactly that.
And I saw that, and I was like, yeah, I mean, people just, you You want to get out?
Yeah, and that's literally it. There was a period in my life, and that could be the end. Remember, right there in some respects, but there was a period where I was afraid to go out alone. Like I thought you look stupid by going to a restaurant or a bar. Table for one, please.
Yeah.
And in recent years, I realized that I didn't match up with anybody or nothing like that. So I was thinking, well, by making that the rule to go out and do things, I'm cheating myself out of experiences because, I might be sitting there playing Balatro at the bar, but I'm also ordering beverages that I don't have at home, or I'm ordering a really nice meal at this restaurant that I'm not going to make at home. So to tell myself I need to have someone at the place to engage it is lame. And it's nice to be able to say, well, if I'm here by myself, I want to play Balatro.
Well, I think there's something very human about wanting to be in a group, in a crowd, even if you're not interacting with everyone in that crowd.
We're social beings.
Yeah, I used to. I enjoyed going to ages ago. Going to clubs or dancing and all that stuff. But like, I didn't really do that a whole lot. Okay, the couple of times I did it, I enjoyed it, but I wasn't like there to meet people. And maybe I was there with one person, or maybe I was there by myself. But like, I was just. You like being around. I think the analog to that today is I like going to the beach because I like sitting on the sand and hearing all of the people around me. I'm not there to make friends, Pernell.
I ain't come here to make friends.
I ain't come here to make friends. But like, I'm just there just to sit there and just enjoy being part of like this crowd.
The microcosm.
And it's nice. So I feel like that's the same thing. When I go on business trips, it's kind of nice. Like I just go to a restaurant and I just sit by myself.
It feels good.
Yeah, and it's good until I'm like, oh, I'm sad because I miss my family. But then it's like, that's quiet though. It's kind of quiet, and I'm just gonna go to bed at 7 p.m.
See, in my case, there's nothing at home to miss, but it's like, oh, the batteries are dying in the steam.
But you miss Rob though. You miss Rob. You miss his voice.
I don't know about all that now. I do miss his
puppy dog eyes I'm giving you right now.
I miss his spaghetti. That was some good spaghetti.
You can thank. Well, yeah. Well, I made the quinoa. You can thank Christy for that.
I will say it honestly though, like I don't have like my at-home family or whatever, but especially as I get older, you acknowledge when you've got good friends that you're close to. Like when I was in my late teens, heck, who am I kidding? From like birth to like my like early 20s, I didn't think I was even going to have a lot of friends because I never really had a bunch of friends. I was always kind of bouncing around.
Yeah.
Eventually, I was like the straight edge in the drug group, all that stuff. And then eventually, I started making friends that I still have. Like between you and Christy and Matt, and then like Anthony and the friends in Chicago that I still talk to. We're talking 20 plus year friendships.
Yeah.
That I was amazed I could have. And then even some of the people from the original group I was talking about from high school, I still talk to some of them.
I know. I've been thinking about, I had a lot of people that I used to hang with that I just don't see anymore. And a lot of it has to do with not like negative behavior, but a lot of people just have negative attitudes that I realized I just couldn't
stomach.
I just couldn't do it. One guy actually just reached back out to me. I'll call his name out. Bill, disappeared completely. I don't know what happened to him. And then I got busy. And then I got real busy. But it's so nice to hear back from him, and he wants to connect again. And
that's what's up.
He said he's been working through some stuff, and I can't wait to connect back because in high school, we were all kind of outsiders. We didn't really have like groups or clubs or things that we went to, but there was 6 or 7 of us that kind of we were just really into computers and the internet before there was an internet.
It makes me
that was like our thing.
It makes me almost want to say, as a related comment to the listeners too, if you are an adult like us and you were an outsider and you happen to be in the Discord, if you hear this, just mention it. I'm just curious how many listeners are.
Yeah, I would love to hear some.
But in addition, if you're a kid or a younger person and you're listening to this show and you happen to be an outsider right now, just know it gets better.
It gets better.
Absolutely gets better.
And if you want someone to hang out with, I will give you Pernell's number.
Of course you would. But the funny part is I would be okay with that.
Yeah, all right, cool. I'll give him a call. But anyway, so our next episode, this is Black History Month. I figure that is going to be the better topic for February.
Well, you got it.
Than the obvious February, which we've already done before, which I think is a lot of fun, but I understand is a rough spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not even going to say it by name, but I think Black History Month is a great idea. A bit of a challenge because early game development in Japan, very homogenous. It's like you're Japanese.
Though I will say this outright, I screwed up on that, but it's okay. I ended up going with black game characters.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's great. Then we probably didn't overlap. I did a little bit of both.
Oh, so yes. Oh, nice.
Because I feel like I felt I was going to feel weird if I listed just black game characters where they're in a game that has nothing to do with like the black experience, or my own experience as a white person playing as a black character means nothing.
So what you're telling me is you went expert mode on this whole thing because
I just wanted to be a little bit more respectful.
No, it is. I'm just saying that's an undertaking.
Well, it wasn't a whole lot, but it was enough. And there's it's tough because early video games. A lot of white developers,
or Japanese, but in that case, they may as well just be in that case.
But that was pretty much it. But once video games went mainstream in the States, I mean, everyone was playing them. You know? And so now it's good to see a lot more people getting involved and getting.
I think that's what it boiled down to, right?
Getting interested in doing it.
Black people that played those games as kids that grew up and said, "Now this can be a career I can do. Yes. I can get involved."
And also, especially now that it's a media that is leans more towards storytelling than it used to in the past. Like in the past, I mean like the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
So now they could tell stories about their own experiences in maybe a fantasy world or in like a video game setting that's more meaningful. And I think that's something you couldn't do before. And I think that's what's drawing a lot of people towards the medium. And of course, games are fun. So,
and I'm going to say this dumb thing that might tie it back to current political bits, but deal with it, people. It goes to show also because when you play some of those games that are developed in that manner, you can generally find yourself taking in a different experience.
Yes.
Like an experience that you weren't getting from the old pool of developers. But now you got this new group of people that are coming in that have their own life experience they're bringing to the table.
Yeah.
And now they're like, I want to create something with this. And now suddenly this story comes with a level of tragedy. It's like, whoa. This narrative is hitting on a note.
And this is why representation of artists and characters and stories matters in media and in games specifically, because otherwise, kids like me will grow up not being exposed to any of that and not question any of your preconceived stereotypes or anything like that.
You'll get that one guy from, what was that show you introduced me to eons ago in anime, Legend of Black Heaven, where the random guy is like, this is what a black guy sounds like. And he's like, yo, homeboy, what you got going on?
I think about that all the time.
It was so terrible.
It was so bad. Some things are so racist. Like, you're like, oh, Japanese people, come on.
The funny part is, like, I looked at that and I was like, I totally get that this is probably just some guys like, I'm going to film a scene where the Japanese character takes a trip to America, and the only exposure I have to what a black person sounds like is episodes of BET that I saw flashed on like clips on the internet.
Yeah.
So it was like, I just laughed.
Yeah.
And then last thing I mentioned about that concept is I remember do you remember a dude back in the day named Nugget? He might not have been DDR per se. He might have just been like anime clubs, but his name he went by Nugget.
Yeah. Okay. The name. I know so well.
He was the DDR knight. He used to walk around with a sword, and he's covered in 2 DDR pads.
Yes, I do remember Nugget.
Nugget was a wild dude. And one year at Otakon, he hosted a panel on like black representation in anime and video games.
Oh, love it, yeah.
And he went down this whole rabbit hole of like, this is what they think we sound like over there. And it's hysterical. And he just like read these random clips where a character goes, yo, what the dealio? Where y'all taking me? And I remember that line for years. Just this random guy said, what the dealio? Where y'all taking me? And he sounds nothing like anybody else in the show. But that also does, of course, factor into some of the stuff I'm going to talk about in the next episode.
Oh, yeah,
the characters I chose. But
that's good. And also for some of the games I chose, too, because the late 90s to 2000s from high school, I'm going to talk about this more in the episode proper because it's more meaningful to that topic. Mm-hmm. But I mean, like, in high school, like my friends group was white, but my school was definitely well mixed. And so, but like I knew kids from other races like in class, but like, I never really made friends with them. Mm-hmm. When I left school and just went right into the workforce, like I immediately made friends with everybody. and with people that I would have never met before that lived in the city or here or there, and it was through video games, really, because I worked in an arcade. Like
that's how I met you. Was
exactly
video games.
Yeah. It was like playing Street Fighter and Marvel vs. Capcom and all this stuff that like we really bonded over that, and it was like, okay, I
that's what it's all about.
I never really thought about it, but like now I'm glad I'm thinking about it. Yeah.
And again, that might also be the end. Remember, it just also is a very solid point to prove.
Well, we don't have a structure for this episode.
Oh no, I know. I just keep thinking of things that could have totally been end remembers, but like you realize that for all the division that we're almost geared towards. Now I had a chat with the other day how like I just feel angry for no reason sometimes because it's just being festered, right? But the thing is, there are so many things that we just have in common that if people knew that about each other and expressed it and shared it, a lot of the things that people are angry about with each other wouldn't even matter. It would be so pointless. And I've said to my brother, too, it's like, why is this an issue to you when you know that at the end of the day, they're watching the same shows you watch, listen to the same music you listen to, and then someone might hear me and go, yeah, but he likes country and you like rock and roll. Like, it's all music. Just talk about music. But you listen to the same stuff, eat the same food. These are the experiences that form bonds and connections. And all that other stuff is just extra.
Yeah,
pointless extra.
If you were, I mean, it's so sad that some people are taught this hate at such an early age, and they don't realize what it is, and they just can't unlearn that when they get older.
Mm-hmm.
It's just got to unlearn that stuff.
Got to unlearn it.
And it's. I know it's easier when you're younger because to meet people is easier too, and maybe we're more fortunate because we live where we live.
Yeah, I'd say the Mid-Atlantic. Yeah. I think the Mid-Atlantic is, like, if you think about the population in America, I think the black component is somewhere between like 10 and 15% in the entire United States. And the Mid-Atlantic is one of the most concentrated areas for that. So even though it's such a small amount across the country, this area we live in is a lot more diverse.
Yeah.
So, like you were saying, we're just almost naturally fused socially. Like you'd almost have to have school segregation to not have that.
I know. I mean, like there's DC, there's Philadelphia, and there's New York City,
Baltimore,
like all right here, and then like Wilmington is like a tiny version of all of those things.
Yep.
Yeah, which is cool,
and I appreciate it immensely. Yeah, immensely.
If people don't realize that you grew up here, it's like. When you're a kid, you're like, oh, I can't wait to get out of here, move somewhere big or move somewhere adventurous. And then you're like, wait a minute, like Wilmington's not bad.
Wilmington's great. That's why I'll just fly to other places, but I like coming home.
Yeah.
And that says a lot because I used to hate home. But now I'm like, no, I'm perfectly fine with this region.
Yeah.
So many cultural differences within 2 miles.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, 2 hours. Not 2 miles. That'd be strange.
We do have the a little Italy. Which is it's not really
big Italy.
Not really Italian. There's like 3 Italian restaurants,
but they're good restaurants. Miss Rubino's.
Rubino's is good.
Yeah,
it's good. But yeah. Anyway, this conversation went all over the place, and then it's like, come to Delaware. Delaware's awesome.
You gotta admit though. So that's another thing that's worth pointing out with these chats or whatnot. Yeah. So the fact that the show has the structure, a Rhythm and Pixels chat, and then the regular show. Somebody could be listening to this and know the structure and go, these guys prep a conversation before going into this, so they always have something to say. We don't prep a damn thing. Yeah. We're just like rambling, and then dialogue happens, and boom, now you got to cut the thing because we're running out of time. Yeah. Like, it's just natural conduct.
I'm not cutting any of this, but let's do a little bit of structure before we finish up. So people are always interested in what we're playing, what we're doing. I am playing Hollow Knight, and I'm watching The Traitors US.
The Traitors?
It's called The Traitors on TV.
Traitors as in you're the monster of the group, or right. Traitors as I'm trading goods for services.
Reality competition show where there's, 15, 20 people, and 3 or 4 of them are essentially evil. Ooh. And every night they can murder another player.
So we're talking like the Cube.
No, it's like Werewolf essentially.
Oh, okay.
Every night, like the Cube. Every night, they can try to banish somebody, but they always end up banishing like one of their own. Because they're trying to get rid of the traitors because they're going to win the money.
It literally is a werewolf thing, yeah.
Yeah, it is. And then at night, they get to kill somebody. And then everyone goes to breakfast the next morning, but someone doesn't show up. And so but it's so much fun because the host is Alan Cumming. Do you know Alan Cumming? Old school actor. He's he's so over the top as a host. He like hams it up like he's like a vampire almost. He's like, "Rah!"
He's a BLT.
His outfits, everything. He's the best. He's the absolute best on that show. And I probably wouldn't like if it wasn't for him.
So I can appreciate that thing. Yeah.
But yeah, it falls into a lot of like the reality show tropes. But for the most part, it's exciting because there's so much intrigue in them trying to find the traitors, and then the traitors trying to hide themselves and try to like make plans without being caught.
So they have to like, oh, I'm going to the grocery store for some cigarettes. Sometimes, would you like to come with me?
Well, sometimes turning against each other too.
Oh,
which is interesting. So
that's good drama.
Yeah, it's really, really good. So, and not just for the money. They're just like, I thought you were going after me. You're going after me. I can't trust you. And like they'll start throwing their names out at people and be like,
that guy's a traitor. He told me.
That guy. I don't like the way he's doing things.
I like the cut of his jib.
Yeah. Sometimes it's annoying. Sometimes it's really good. So I'm watching that. I'm still rewatching Taskmaster because that's one of the funniest shows on television. And there's a show on Netflix called Man on the Inside with Ted Danson.
Oh, now it sounds interesting already.
Is
good place.
One of the funniest, most heartwarming shows on television ever. He is he's like an older retired guy.
So this is an actual sitcom. This isn't
like in his 70s or something like that. His wife had dementia and passed away.
Okay.
And he doesn't know what to do with his life. He's just kind of like just doing the same thing every morning. And then his daughter says, you need to get out there, find something adventurous to do. He looks in the paper and finds someone put an ad out for someone to go undercover into a retirement home because there's been jewelry has been stolen.
Okay.
And so because he is good with a cell phone and he's very personable, he's like, I can do it. And so he goes undercover. He was never going to go into a retirement home, but he goes undercover in the retirement home
to find the thief.
And it's so nice. It's so sweet.
How you doing, Mr. Dance?
Because he's
Sophie.
Because every time he has to like make a lie or like sneak around, like he just looks so thrilled that he's doing it. He's just so excited.
I'm a secret agent, man.
And if anyone has watched the show Monk, Monk's assistant plays his daughter. Like Monk's second assistant plays his daughter. Oh. She's really good. And the guy who plays Rutherford in Lower Decks, and he was also he was in the other Ted Danson show.
Was he in The Good Place?
He was in The Good Place. He was
in The Bad Place.
He should have been in The Bad Place. He was the guy's friend, the guy who had all of like the dirtbag Florida friends.
Oh, okay, Donkey Doug.
Donkey Doug's in it. He's so good because he's one of my favorite actors now. I love him so much.
It's such a
Donkey Doug.
Again, if you've never seen The Good
what
Place,
do you call his dad?
What
do you call his dad?
I don't remember, but I just remember Donkey Doug was his best friend.
Yeah.
And it's just a great name.
Because he kept calling somebody. He was like, dirtbag something or other. And he was like, wait, that's your dad? And he's like, no, yeah, I'm going to call him that. That's stupid. So I'm watching that stuff. What are you playing right now?
So
you're by Belatro.
But memory-wise, my brain is a slush. So let me try to think. So I know I'm playing Belatro. I just downloaded Rift of the Necrodancer, which I probably shouldn't have, but what are you going to do about it?
Rift? Is that just a sequel to Necrodancer?
Essentially, yeah, it's Cadence. But it's like it does like weird Guitar Hero style where the track's coming towards you.
Oh.
But it innovates it where it's like you're fighting monsters on the track.
Ooh.
And there's like modifiers on the track that makes the monsters go in different directions and stuff.
Cool.
So like I'm definitely looking forward to doing more with that game. I played a game called Blade Chimera, which is a Metroidvania that is a follow-up to from the guys who did what was that, Toho Hot Nights, wherever it was called?
Okay. Toho Nights.
Yeah, Toho Nights. It was a follow-up from that game. What else am I playing? Again, I bounce around a lot, which is annoying. And in fact,
I'm not asking for like a whole list.
E6 I got back into. Like I got Daryl the last weekend, like a month or two ago, randomly sent a post to me. He's like, hey, Pernell, check this out. You might appreciate this. And it was a guy who made an habit of going to pawn shops and buying used PS1 and 2 memory cards and just putting them into the system to see what they had.
He was like, oh my God, look at that. He's only 60% through Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, and I'm saying like, I literally have like 10 memory cards at home with just random data on them.
Yeah.
Where do I leave off in these games? So I started putting them in. I was like, wait a minute. I'm this close to the end of E6. I should finish that. So I started playing E6, and that's going to be a 4 in February game. And like Valkyrie Profile 2 Silmaria, I was like, I can go back to play that game. So now I'm just like playing old games that I left unfinished from decades ago.
Are you playing them on your CRT? Like in
the
your
original
retro?
CRT with the scan lines
That's
and
awesome.
everything.
Yeah, I love that.
All the old discs, no emulation, which means I don't get the luxury of save states. It's the classic setup. And it feels great. Like, yeah, I absolutely will like just sit on the floor like I did back in the day. Got my little drinky off to the side and a bag of popcorn on the other. I'm like, hey.
That's awesome.
And it feels good. Like, it feels good to be back in that space.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to describe it. It feels good.
That's something
with a dual shock too.
That's something in the future, like, or it maybe maybe this was an alternate past, but like our Twitch stream would be me watching you play RPGs.
See, I don't think if people watch it, I hump all the doors.
I know. And I mean, like, it would be a lot of talking because I wouldn't be playing.
Oh, touche.
So I would just be busting on you the whole time. But the you just got to check every door, Pernell.
I check every door, every vase and dresser.
That was me in Silent Hill, where it was like, the door is locked. The door is locked. Why are there doors if they're all going to be locked?
More like, how is it this door is locked and I have a gun? Can I just shoot the knob?
Well, it's a nightmare world. So that's scary. I love that you're going back through those old retro games, like on your old systems. Like you kept everything.
I kept everything, and that's the thing I find the most intriguing. Like I remember there was, don't get me wrong, no judgment to anybody who dumped their stuff.
Oh yeah,
space is a premium. Sometimes you need that cash.
Sometimes, yeah, like in your 20s or into your 30s, like you got to get rid of stuff sometimes.
Absolutely, yeah. But for as much as I kept that stuff, I would have these moments where I'd be like, am I ever going to do anything with any of these games? And let's be blunt. A lot of these games, I likely won't. I might not go back and play Dewey's Adventure on the Wii, but every once in a while, I do. Sometimes I'll go on the show and go, this is like a game I want to boot up and see how that plays now or see where I left off. And it just feels good. It's like I'm going back to my nostalgia library and utilizing the games of the past. And in that regard, it actually hits a note that can't be matched by buying the newest game to release on Steam. It just doesn't. And I have come to really enjoy that. Now, with that said, I also played through Astrobot, which I don't think I had finished by the time we recorded last month's episode.
You talked about it.
Talked about it, but now I finished it. And now, for the 4 in February, what I intend to do is complete the game, as in get every robot and complete every secret level.
Every Astrobot. All the Astrobots.
Every single one of them. They're so cool and cute. But yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at right now. Not to say I haven't bought like a gajillion games on Steam, because that's the problem. But now I'm tracking my spending, so that's going to slow down.
Yes. Yeah.
But because if you don't track it, it is very easy to have the thing go, I get notifications on my watch. This game is on sale, 20% off. Like, ooh. And I just go buy it because it's on sale now. And now I'm like, how many games did I buy on sale in the last week? Oh, crap.
So I used Steam like ages and ages ago. And as I played through, I first started playing through Enter the Gungeon on Steam, and I played through Hyperlight Drifter on Steam.
And now there's Hyperlight Breaker.
Yeah, but it's a 3D action-y thing. It doesn't look interesting to me. And anyway, but the overhead Zelda pixely game I'm into.
I mean, it's a good vibe.
I got an MO. But yeah, so that was the last time I used it, and I was like, I'll favorite a few things, and maybe I'll like, it was like Undertale, Downwell, Owlboy, a couple other things, because those are the things that they keep showing up in my email, and it's like, hey, it's on sale for 2 cents. I'm like,
now's the time.
I'm like, maybe I'll play that now. I don't know. I don't have anything to steam it up with, but we should get to the next episode. So, everyone, thank you for listening on what we've been doing. Think about what you've been doing.
Think about what you've been doing.
And in the next 7 days, we will return through your speakers like the ghost
of Podcast Pass?
Yeah. Or I was thinking the ghost in that movie.
Ghost?
No, the one about the well. You know, the girl comes out of the TV.
Are you talking about Stephen King's It?
No, he came out of a sewer. No, this girl comes out of the
Bucket
TV.
Girl.
Bucket Girl. Yeah, like that. The classic Japanese horror movie, Bucket Girl.
Not good.
That's the one.
Potako with the ghost in the toilet.